Oh my gosh. Guys, I don't know if you're ready for this or not, but tonight I'm by myself. It's gonna feel very strange. Eric is behind the scenes. He is working through some stuff. But guys, welcome to episode 63 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show presented by Summit Racing. Y'all, tonight's gonna be a good one. We have big stuff going on tonight. We have Mike Galimi on here to talk about the 200 mile an hour club with Hot Rod Drag Week. We have Eric Grilliot from Mahle Motorsports North America. I'm pumped about this because we're going to actually find out what a graphol coating is that we've talked about in the ad reads for so long. And we're going to talk about Sick the magazine. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. Well, Mr. Eric, if you'll hit that intro video button, let's get this thing kicked off, dude.
We're gonna pack things up and hit the road and try to make it the next day.
All right, guys. Well, my name is Mike Narks. I am the host of the Drag Drive Repeat show that you are watching right now, and also the host of the Drag Drive Repeat news, which happens on Saturday mornings live. You can see it right there in the top. And guys, I feel for Eric. He is working backstage tonight. They are traveling. They've got a couple hours worth of driving, and he's going to have to listen to my voice. And maybe he'll chime in at some point after he gets tired of hearing me. But y'all, like I said in the intro there, I'm excited about tonight. We're going to have a good time. I got kind of nerdy on the stuff for Mike Galimi later. So that could be kind of back to old school stuff like I used to do. So that's going to be kind of fun to mess with. And then, like I said, Eric Grilliot from Mahle Motorsports is going to be on here with us. That's going to be a blast. Well, let's jump into this thing, guys. You know how it is. Thank you so much for being our race car friend. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for all the shares and comments and all that kind of stuff. And thank you to our sponsors: Summit Racing, Mahle Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Change 3D, Howard's Cams, Performa Built, Sweet Patina, Racing Junk, and our newest media partner, PowerTube TV. And on the 29th, we're rolling out a new sponsor, and I'm pumped about having all of these folks here. I mean, think about that. These folks help support us, and they help support the community by doing that and letting us talk to everybody out here and do all the travel and all the kind of stuff that we get to do with that. All right. Summit Racing ad read here, real quick, and then we're going to get into some fun things. Summit Racing Speed Legacy began in 1968 as a one man startup and is now the world's speed shop. With 4 facilities and 200 plus catalog editions, fueling your passion, they save you money, deliver fast, and offer top notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. Make sure to download the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. You can also tune in to the On All Cylinders podcast for discussions with automotive pioneers, enthusiasts, and manufacturers. From humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. And guys, they just rolled out a Summit Racing rewards program. I know this is a big deal. For every dollar you spend, you get a point. Listen, this is going to be a big thing for a lot of folks. I hope everybody is jumping on Summit when they're looking to order parts and all that kind of stuff. But this rewards program could really change a lot of people's setup. You can it's going to change your parts ordering for sure. I know that. So you can sign up for rewards at summitracing.com/rewards, which I'm going to throw in the comments over there on the side. How about that? Perfect. All right. Well, let's get on with this thing. Driven Racing Oil event updates right here, guys. Why gamble with performance or protection when you get proven results from Driven Racing Oil? Trusted by top engine builders, winning racers, and devoted horsepower enthusiasts around the world. Driven takes a legendary base oil such as the ones from Bradford, Pennsylvania, which comprise their GP1 line. Then Driven boosts that superior base with state of the art additive packages. Driven's GP1 Nitro 70 not only provides anti wear protection, but can even shield cylinders from washout and fuel dilution caused by using methanol or nitro based fuels. Again, I say it every week. We need some nitro in drag and drive. Learn more about Driven Racing Oil by following them on Facebook and Instagram at Driven Racing Oil or shop online at drivenracingoil.com. That's right. Make sure you're doing that. Bill and the team over there are awesome. We are going to have them on in the next couple of weeks, and I'm excited about that. Let's talk about some event stuff because that's why we're talking about Driven. Drop the Hammer, May 31st through June 2nd. That is the event in Michigan. I really liked this truck here, twin turbo LS, brand new build for this guy. I can't remember his name, but twin turbo LS. I think it's a turbo 400, and its debut drive maybe at Drop the Hammer. The guy was saying in the comments. So if you are going to drop the hammer, please let us know. We'd like to see as much coverage as we can for them. I know those guys are working hard to get there. And then Olympic Drag and Drive, other side of the country, Washington. Our boy Corey Thompson finally has one in his backyard. I know he's excited to not have to travel from Washington to anywhere else in the country, so he's going to be able to do it right there at home. And we look for him to just absolutely dominate that event. I don't know of any other car that is as fast as his that is going to that event, but we're going to do some looking. And those guys and I have been messaging back and forth, and I think they're probably going to try and be on next week. Would be about the only opportunity that we have to have them on. So if someone wants to tag Olympic Drag and Drive, tell them you want to hear the stories, you want to know who's coming, you want to know how this came about, and we want to know the promoters. We want to know where they came from, who they are, all that kind of stuff. So let's hear from them soon. And then after those two events is Six Summer, which is obviously in beginning and ending at Byron, which is Eric White's home track. So he's going to be there on Monday, and then also again on Friday of that week. And then I'm driving up to meet them for Thursday morning racing. So if I have to leave Wednesday night, I'm going to do that. Leave Wednesday night from my house, get up there, race Thursday or watch the racing Thursday, drive out Thursday into Friday, and then move into, the awards and all that kind of stuff, and then come home on Saturday. So I'm excited about that one. And the same week, again, we got overlapping events, Alaska Speed Week 2024. June 9th through 15th, Alaska Speedway, obviously going to be doing that again. And then they have more than a day's drive. So they have a drive day to an airstrip up there that they raced on in 2023. Registration is open right now for Alaska Speed Week. If we back up, Six Summer is sold out. I'm sure if you showed up or were on the wait list, you need to be ready. I always say this: show up to the event if you plan on racing it. Don't use that as an excuse. Olympic Drag and Drive is sold out, as well as Drop the Hammer. So if you want to do those events, don't use that as an excuse, because what real promoter would turn away somebody from the gate right there? All right. I received the newest Sick the Mag magazine today. I haven't had a chance to go through it. I literally just read the editorial opening with Tom Bailey, and but a few things that I caught there, and I hope you guys caught them as well. Uh, Sorry, trying to get down here a little bit here. So a few of the things that were pretty interesting. We have talked about 2025 being absolutely insane already with the huge Rocky Mountain Race Week event, the dual event going to be there, and all of the other events that are coming for 2025, Kakalaki Run, all that. 2025 is going to see a border crossing drag and drive. So they're going to be in the Northeast, which will make all of our Northeast followers happy. Finally, somebody puts one in the Northeast. I know that's what everybody's going to say. So they're going to have that in the Northeast. Then they're going to cross over into Canada for a day of racing. I don't know where they'll race at in Canada up there. And then a Sick Smokies in the August or September timeframe, he said right now. And I was, we talked about this a little bit last couple months. I think it was probably March, about how there needs to be one in the Smokies. Well, apparently they heard some conversations and they agree, and they have probably not started working on it. They've probably been working on it for a while. But Six Smokies in the August, September in the Smoky Mountains. we did a little bit of that drive in with Drag Week last year. It was amazing. That part of the country is really pretty. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like when we turn loose 300 cars on it. And then last thing he said was that there is the $100,000 race that he posted about a couple months ago. They said they may push that back to 2026 just simply because it's going to be too much to try and put it together for 2025 and do, because they'll have sick summer, they'll have sick week, and then they'll have sick Smokies, and then the sick Northeast event, and then obviously all the other stuff they do like this peak deal they're doing next weekend. So the magazine has 11 features of cars and events. They have Carolina Drag Cruise and the Hard S1000. And then they have a daily recap. The second half of the magazine is a daily recap of Sick Week. So pretty cool. Like I said, I literally got it at like 5 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock now. I've been in the shop for about an hour getting ready for this. So had no opportunity to look through it or anything other than that first little bit. And I thought I would talk to you guys about that and bring that on here. And then Southeast Gasser Show. I don't know if you guys have seen it on PowerTube TV. Your boy showed out. I think my 48 seconds in total TV time was pretty cool. I'll tell you, it was really neat seeing TV host Michael Narks being on there. It premiered on PowerTube TV last night. The racing was great. I mean, the racing is why you watch that show, not to hear my sweet buttery voice. But it was really cool to see me on screen, on something that I didn't have to create. A lot of this stuff we create. Me and Eric create this. We edit these down. We do all that stuff. So it's really neat to kind of be a part of something that was, I would say bigger than me. So a whole team of folks. They have 6 cameras that record all day footage. Literally every pass is recorded, and then they take that and they work to edit it down into 30 minutes worth of content. I can't imagine 40 plus hours of footage down into 30 minutes time. It was pretty nuts. So if more people will watch that, I'm sure they will extend it, and that would be a really really good thing because it really needs more time. But the scheduling and all that stuff didn't allow for more time. I see Lawrence Jane here saying, when I talked to Tom at Sick Week, he said Six Smokies was a 2026 event. Oh, did that change? I don't know. I mean, I read the article as it was going to be a 2025 event. Maybe I read it incorrectly. Either way, I'm in. We're going to go because that's going to be a great time. So again, if you haven't done it, download the PowerTube TV app. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your smart TV at home. Please do that. It helps us. It helps them. It really helps us a lot because it gives us a lot more eyes on the uh, in the world of automotive content, and that's what we're looking for. So appreciate you guys doing that. And then the Peak Streetcar Shootout is this weekend at the NHRA. The NHRA is going to be hosting them again at the Route 66 Nationals. Driver lineup, this is pretty cool. So you got Alex Taylor, you got Nick Taylor, who's going to be, I hope, in Uncle Sam. I know he's been thrashing on that car, trying to get it ready. That would be so cool to see that car back out. Tom Bailey, of course. Dave Schroeder's going to be out, hopefully in the 66 in the vet. That would be really cool in the old car. And then Tom McGilton, love seeing Tom out and about. Earl Schneider. I don't know how you say your last name, dude. I'm sorry. I apologize. He's going to be there. Craig Grosvenor, and then our boy Bryant Goldstone going to be out there. He's on the shirt. I would think. I mean, this is going to be a lot like last year, where they hype up the crowd, give us an exhibition opportunity, and see that these cars actually drive on the street. And last year, some folks struggled with traction or braking stuff. I don't think we're going to have that problem this year. These cars have been on rails all year, except for Nick Taylor. We haven't seen him make a pass in Uncle Sam. So I'm excited to see that. And plus, I mean, they're going to be in front of NHRA. Like, it's going to be a big crowd. That event last year had, 30 or 40,000 people there in attendance. And then they got upfront parking, which was really cool. And anytime we can, of course, push the drag and drive movement, that is always a good thing, especially in front of NHRA, NHRA fans and NHRA itself, I guess, but NHRA fans. All right. And then right here, we are doing essentially the same thing along the same lines. Midwest Drag Racing Series is allowing me to basically have 10 parking spots for drag and drive racers together. I'm really pumped about this because we had 28,000 people at the Midwest Drag Race Series Throwdown in T-Town this last weekend at Tulsa. I really feel like it's going to be as big or bigger than what the throwdown in T-Town was, because there's been no racing in Flying H for so long in Kansas City area for so long. So I think we're going to have a ton of people show up, and that is why I asked Keith and Ellen if, hey, can we do a drag and drive area? Can we put cars in that spot that are going to be working out of their trailer? I'm going to get some signage made for those cars and people. The plan is, of course, Flying H the weekend of May 31st through June 1st. Red Hat Scotty, Dustin Cottle, David and Keaton Maxon, Jason Golden, Mike Anger, Tina and David Pierce are going. There's again, I've got 10 spots. I'm looking for about 12 people or 12 cars to put in that spot. I think Jack Crawford is interested. I think Chris Paget is interested. So this really could be a big deal to introduce a lot of people that are already kind of on the fence about drag and drive into a lot of these drag and drive racers and cars. And my biggest rule is you have to have competed in a drag and drive in the last 18 months to even be considered to be in the spot. So again, I think we've got about 8 people signed up already. So I need another 4 just in case somebody breaks something early on or before the event. Again, that is May 31st through June 1st at Flying H Drag Strip in Odessa, Missouri, which is outside Kansas City. If you are anywhere close, please, please, please come down. Enjoy pro mod racing, enjoy pro 420 racing, funny cars, top dragster, top sportsman. They got all that kind of stuff. Junior dragsters, all that. It's like a regular drag race, right? And then we're going to bring in a bunch of local cars, 150 local cars that are going to run outlaw small tire, limited street, true street, 580 index and 650 index. And he said maybe 1 or 2 other classes. So they're looking for about 100 cars. So I'm pumped about this. This is going to be a good one. Oh, Aaron Roberts says he would consider it as well. That would be awesome. I don't know entry fees and all that kind of stuff yet, but we're getting there. This obviously came out in like the last day, like today this happened. So we're working through all of that stuff. And then the event is itself is going to be working through the local classes aren't Midwest Drag Race Series classes. So I don't know what the entry fees and stuff, all that is, but your boy's building the flyer tonight and into tomorrow, and I should be able to have more answers on that. So for the folks that have signed up already, thank you very much. I appreciate you doing that for sure. All right, that gets us to there, and then let's talk about the Mahle Motorsports Co-Pilot Spotlight. Attention high performance enthusiasts and sportsman class racers, meet the Mahle Motorsport Power Pack Kit, your ultimate solution for power packed performance. The Power Pack pistons are made from either 4032 aluminum alloy to allow for tighter cylinder to wall clearances and improved temperature stability, or 2618 alloy to allow for increased detonation resistance. Tailored for various engine families from small block Chevrolet to Volkswagen and Audi, we've got you covered. They've got you covered. Mahle does. What sets Mahle apart? Forged pistons, graphite coating, and phosphate treatment for peak performance and durability. Elevate your ride with Mahle Motorsport, where performance meets precision. Unleash the power within. Visit MahleMotorsport.com for details. And for the podcast listeners, that's Mahle is spelled Mahle. And you can find, again, MahleMotorsport.com. And Joe Ernst submitted his spotlight this week for his co-pilot, Robert Mumford. And one of the questions we always ask is, tell us a story about how your co-pilot saved the day. And Joe's response is perfect, because I think it's probably how most folks work in all of their, drag and drive life. They get tired. The week really weighs on you. And Rocky Mountain Race Week 2021 was no slouch for that. So Joe says, normally I'm a pretty calm guy, but a few miles outside of Bandamere, heading into the mountains, the car died for the 11 millionth time. Anytime you use 11 millionth, that means you were having a bad day. Just so everybody out there knows. This time, right in the middle of a very busy intersection, I blew my flipping lid and started cussing like a sailor. Robert kept his cool, jumped out, and stopped traffic. Then we pushed the car across 3 lanes of highway onto the shoulder. That was as close as I ever came to throwing in the towel, but there was no way I could let my co-pilot down and quit. So we kept going and eventually finished Rocky Mountain Race Week 2021. I'm telling you, there's nothing cooler than that. And that'll be a story that they will tell forever and ever. And it's going to be a laugh now, but I'm telling you, it wasn't at one time. To see more of the story and hear all of the answers, you can go to dragdriverpete.com/co-pilot spotlight. I'm going to put that in the link right now. And then on that, you can also select the tell your own story, tell your co-pilot story on the side there. So please do that. We would love to hear from that. We've got several. We're trying to do one of these a week, every week, and we're way behind. So we may have to double this up every now and then. But my goal is to write articles for each of these and put those out on the blog page within the news side of our website, but you can see part of it on the dragdriverpete.com/co-pilot spotlight name. And looks like Mr. Eric Grilliot just jumped in the back. If he's ready, give me a thumbs up, sir. You ready? You good to go? Perfect. All right, we're going to bring him on. Let me get this off of here. All right, Mr. Eric Grilliot, how are you this evening, sir?
I am doing well. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm excited for you to be on here. The last time I didn't go back and look at the date, but dude, it's had to be a year and a half, something like that.
Well, the way that time flies, it feels like it was 2 weeks ago, but I bet you're right. It couldn't
Yeah.
be even less than that.
That's exactly right. Well, guys, if you don't know, he's a big deal in our world for sure. He's a big deal. He knows a lot. He's gave Jesse Fox and I a tour of the whole facility. It was really having someone like you tell us what all that stuff is, dude. That's why I'm glad you're on tonight, because now you kind of share some of that knowledge with these folks that are in here. So if you want to, if you'll introduce yourself and kind of tell what you do with Mahle.
Well, the quick and easy answer to that really is a little bit of everything. And I mean that because I think I just rolled over 21 years with the company. So my background is engineering. I started as an application engineer, kind of transitioned into doing some design, and then eventually was able to sort of spearhead the product development program that we have. Enjoyed that. And then for some reason, 5-6 years ago, had the opportunity to bring sales and marketing under one umbrella with the product engineering side, and have been doing that for since about 2018. So, and pretty much hands in a little bit of everything. They don't let me run the machines yet, but try to keep everything else rolling the best we can.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And based on our conversations, you are a busy guy. You stay, I mean, I can't imagine what that entails on a day-to-day basis. Be pretty intense for sure. So let's talk about kind of one of the reasons you support us. I mean, really, you're kind of our driving force behind Mahle being involved in Drag Drive Repeat, is because of your experience in drag and drive events. So what do you like most about drag and drive events? Because you've done several.
For me, it's a way to combine a vacation with something that I enjoy, and can find the motivation to take the time away and spend some time, racing on the cars, etc. But that was what got me out. But if you look at the community and the people that are involved, once you've done one, I think it's hard not to be hooked. I don't know that I've met many that have felt otherwise, and or would disagree with that sentiment. There's definitely a community out there that I've not found anywhere else. It's definitely, I think, unique to the sport and continuing to grow.
Right, and you're 100% right, because it's crazy to think that there's like so many people don't just do one event. Used to, I think you probably only did one, but like now, once people become friends with other race car friends, it's like, how many of these can I do? How many times a year can I do this?
I think the first couple where you're looking at one event, it's shaking the car out, making sure it'll work, and then once you realize, hey, I can do this and it's going to happen, it's like, okay, how many of these can I schedule and fit within the year? And then it seems to come in this other cycle. Okay, now I put too many on, I'm breaking, I'm having issues, and then it's like, I'm going to pull back a minute, kind of reinforce the program, and then take another swing at it and see what I can do to do it. But
right.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think if they had one every other week, there's people that would probably try.
Yeah, Walter and Catherine Doyle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Red Hat Scotty said, if I could do them all, I would. And I think that's one of the cool things about it is like, and every one of them now we're seeing all kinds of different ways to compete and all kind of different tracks. I think that's one thing that I like about them too is that it allows me to go to completely new parts of the country that I would never
Yeah.
go to before. I'm not going to choose to drive to Byron for vacation. Like we're going to go somewhere south, but because of Drag and Drive, I'm going to Byron, Illinois.
Yeah, there's more tracks. I mean, there's guys that go out and race every week, and credit to them that they do. But me personally, I've seen more tracks in Drag and Drive that, again, I never would have stopped at had a reason to be at those tracks, let alone the variety of them and everything that you see in between that goes with it too. So yeah, the opportunity to visit new places, new tracks is definitely a part of it.
Right. Well, let's talk about because not only do you race in these events, which we're going to talk about the ones you've raced in, but
Yeah,
you also,
I participate.
yeah,
Right.
nice,
There's guys that race. I participate.
nice. You're there for fun. Yeah, that's cool. Well, but you also go out and work the Mahle tent, like the Mahle, booth or whatever, the vendor row. So, how many events have you done like that, as well as participated in?
Most we try to do that, and that's really what got it started for me. But in all fair defense too, we almost always try to bring somebody along to help. So definitely don't want to pretend this is I'm out there doing it myself. It takes a couple of guys
Mhm.
to make it work. I do like to tell them that I'm there on vacation to race, and I bring somebody along to do the work, and we may share a little bit and cross over, but no, and that was the first event in 2018. I think it was Drag Week that was somewhat local to us here in the Southeast where I got started because we were, I think that was the first year that we as a company had sponsored Drag Week.
Wow.
And I said, if it's this close, we're going to be there. We're going to go to every track anyway. Can I kind of dust off the car and drag it along and do it? And that was the first one for me. And then it became, okay, every event that's out there, how do we drag the tent, do what we do, display, help support, promote the racers. And if I can go racing at the same time, that's the double bonus.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. And the car you race, I'm going to pull up a picture here of. Let's pull up the first one that I met you with. Oh, uh,
No,
the
that,
pickup truck. So
that
tell us about this truck.
that one is definitely the participation truck. That's when the other car isn't running, and that was the first event of sick week. So hadn't planned on that at all, but when the opportunity arose, was just going to go do sick ward, drive a long portion just to experience the event, and then
Hmm.
got off the wait list, and all of a sudden I didn't have a vehicle to run, so my cruiser kind of became the primary race, if you want to call it that. So,
Yeah.
but very simple, almost stock 71 GMC. Unfortunately, it's been in the garage pretty much since about 6 months after that event. Got ambitious and said, "Hey, it's time to do the LS swap and make that one more fun in case I have the opportunity to get in again." But yet it hasn't seen the light of day since then, as other projects have taken precedence. So
You mean
eventually
this
it will
one?
come back out.
You mean this project?
That one gets in the way a lot.
Yeah, I don't
Yes, sir.
blame you. That would get in the way a lot for me too.
Yeah, but that 72 Nova, ironically, I've had that car for going on just about 33 years.
Wow.
First car, Dad picked it up at a police impound auction when I was in high school or just starting high school. I think it was $250, and we drug it home, cleaned out all the contraband that pretty much indicated why it had been impounded, and started as a straight six power glide car that would barely get out of its own way, and slowly over the last 33 years kind of built it into what it does today.
Man, that's crazy. And so, we talk about all the time 10-second stick shift Nova. I mean, I feel like that is just that's the way I say your car now. So it's just a 10-second stick shift Nova. Like so what's the powertrain in it and all the combo?
Uh, yeah, well, as I won't say young kids, but some kids came up to me and had the hood off at the time, and they looked under there and said, "Oh, that's an old school Chevy," because it's a traditional small block, and
Hmm.
of course that was well beyond recognition. I didn't even realize what they were saying until it took me a minute to kind of register that, okay, yes, maybe that is these days. But traditional small block Chevy, 406 at the moment. And then just, actually G-force transmission, 5-speed transmission with the gear bender on it to get it down the road.
That's awesome. So then what gear do you have in the back? Is it a pretty deep gear in the back then?
Just 411s on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, I guess being a 5-speed, and then that would allow you, because is your fifth gear 1-to-1 or is your fifth
1-to-1?
Oh yeah. So then yeah, that basically gives you the overdrive. That's awesome. I didn't know that. Wow. That's pretty cool. Well, again, it's one of my favorite cars. I love the trailer with it. Looks great. Let's talk about events you've done in this thing, because I mean, it's not just a pretty face. You've driven this thing all over the country. Did 3 full events last year, 3 national level events last year. You run through those and then run through what else you've done with it.
Yeah, started with Drag Week because that was the one that was close and certainly the one that knew about getting in the entry level where everybody knows. And then really got interested in Rocky Mountain growing up in Kansas. So that Rocky Mountain, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas area, that's kind of home. Mm-hmm. So wanted to get out there and do a race. Absolutely. Didn't have the chance to until 2020 when they opened up Race Week. So that was the first event that we got to do with them. Got into that, and so went out, and even though that wasn't quite Rocky Mountain at that point, but still entry into that. So been hooked on those races ever since.
Yeah.
Haven't been able to get that car down to Sick Week yet, but one of these years I'll have it actually together and running in February, where we'll be able to feel confident enough to put that registration in.
Yeah.
And so it's those have been the big two, but really looking as kind of get that program figured out to where I stop, tweaking on a little bit some of these, the local stuff, the Carolina Drag and Drive, and some of the other events that aren't quite the trek out to Colorado. We'll add those to the schedule as they come up.
Yeah, that'd feel weird for you, I'm sure, to not load up and drive out that far. So, that's one thing a lot of folks that haven't done these don't really understand is, like, not only is it like 5 days of racing, it's also, 2 days to get there, and then it's 2 days to get home.
Yeah. Well, and I think in the, I guess it was the fall race week. 2 days would have been relaxing, but I think we stopped at a tire store for the trailer in every state along the way, at least twice on the way out there and back. So certainly are of my own making, but yet, that it's some of those little things that you don't expect. The race car performs flawlessly, and then everything else kind of creeps up on you at times.
That's awesome. I think this is probably meant for you. For Cat Hill, says Eric, we're so proud of you, Kathy and Lauren.
I think they're just happy when I get out of the house for that week and plus 3 or 4 days, but I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've had a good time. You and I've hung out several times, but I think I've probably hung out with Adam more since he came out to the circuit. And I'm hoping we maybe see you in the future out there at that event. I know that is a huge trip for 3 days worth of drag and drive racing.
Yeah, no, we wanted to. We sent Adam out there to scout.
Nice.
So as we're expanding, we just trying different events and wanting to reach different people, different areas. Yep. And so we've we're not locked into any one thing that we do, and we want to try to be able to contact and talk with and have the opportunity to interact with as many folks as we can.
Well, it was really cool to have him, and he had the whole display. I think he was busy all week. I think he talked to a lot of people. We set him up by our booth. It was really cool to a lot of times he's so busy, I don't get an opportunity to talk to him, but we actually have to hang out a little bit this time, so it was kind of fun. Yeah. Well, let's talk about 2024, I guess. Are you going to do 2.0 for this year?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. Right now I've got, with the overlap Drag Week and Race Week, I've got the 2 Rocky Mountain events. George, that you showed the picture earlier, is going to take up the flag at Drag Week. So we're going to still kind of try to touch base on a little bit of everything, but
how fun,
spread around. It's contagious. So George is building the car. Adam's got plans. He's got stuff that he's working on, trying to keep
Sorry, I'm trying to
keep
get
building on it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Adam was talking about a car for himself, and then everybody, George is in the bottom left of that picture there on the screen. Now, last year he went yard sale. He packed and unpacked everything in the car. Is he going to do a trailer this year? Or is he doing the same thing?
Same car, but completely different program. So sort of that same vein of not only being hooked, but he got bit by the bug, so he's jumping in with both feet.
Yes.
So I won't spoil his surprise. We'll let him get it out and make his runs with it. But it's going to be a completely same from the outside, but it'll be a completely different car.
Oh man. Well, Eric White and I are going to Drag Week, so we'll have to follow George around a little bit out there. It's going to be kind of fun to see what all he's got going. Let's see what. You want to explain the pink fingernail to folks that don't understand, that don't know that story?
I'll tell you what, I saw that clip that you put up on one of the posts, and I had to shake my head because I know where you got that from, and I posted it. It's my own fault. But you would not believe the reactions I got from some people that aren't in the know. Just the sort of, are you okay? What's happening? Do we need to talk?
Yeah.
But no, I'll represent Kayla and her cause all day long for the Wicked Chicks. So can't beat that with the pink pinky and some force performance. I think turbo sunglasses from that year. I'll give them some love.
I'll tell you what's really fun is by the end of the week, how many pink fingernails you see, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, of course she's running around, she's gathering money for the Wicked Chicks. So that's part of the story, right? But to do that, and so she knows that she's asked you, she paints your fingernail. She paints your one of your pinky fingernails pink. What's so funny is to see these big burly dudes that are dirty from being in the car for a week in like a restaurant somewhere, and there's pink fingernails everywhere. It's really fun. It's really awesome to see. So yeah, I enjoyed the picture, and you really didn't let on very much in the post, so that was good too because it made people kind of wonder and think and had to do some research.
If you know, you know.
That's exactly right. Well, again, I love this car, but I know I want to get a little bit in the weeds here. Well, hang on. These two pictures here are probably some of my favorite drag and drive pictures ever. The shot out of the hood, into the nothingness, into the open road, and the way the light shines, beautiful shot, man, beautiful shot. And then, of course, the sunset, with the car, just gorgeous. Good eye on the photography there, man.
I'll pretend I was driving on the one, but that's the part of it. That's the view. Like I said, I grew up out in western Kansas, and I think that's southwest or southeast Colorado, just getting back into Kansas. And people don't understand. Particularly living here in the north or North Carolina, we're right at the foothills of the Appalachians. There's trees everywhere, hills. So especially that's the fun part about taking some of the guys with me on these events. It's like we're going out to places that it seems like there's nothing, but to me that wide open is what I miss that.
Yep. And one thing that I love about the Rocky Mountain stuff is that you're literally like these are parts of the country that typically you're going to try and you're on the interstate doing 85, 87, 91 miles an hour. You're just trying to get through there. But in a race car, you're like, I am going to take this 2-lane. I am going to stop at this gas station. I am going to need to get out and stretch my legs every 50 to 70 miles. And that's awesome and okay.
Well, kind of a cool side story. The first year I did the full Rocky Mountain, we were traveling from Great Bend to Pueblo, and we literally drove through the town, the small town of like 3,500 people that I grew up in. Just happened to catch it where I was there for lunch, so got to stop, met my uncle and family, some other family in town. We had lunch. The newspaper came out, did a story. And there was, the next week, it's a weekly paper. There shows up this story about, kid that grew up here, went to school. Everybody still knows the folks and the rest of the family. It made the local paper just driving through town.
How cool, man!
That was pretty wild.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a fun story. And I mean, talk about changing a local community, like you have 250, 300 race cars coming through. Everybody's buying gas, everybody's buying lunch, everybody's picking stuff up here and there. And it really does change the side roads of America. It's another reason I love drag and drive stuff. You're not in a hurry to get to the next track. All
Absolutely.
right. Sorry. So let's get a little bit deep here. Let's talk about some technical stuff. We've got about 20 minutes here. I'd like to dig into your brain some. So, for months we've talked about 4032 aluminum alloy and 2618 aluminum alloy. Like, man, help us understand. Eric White is backstage now, so help him and me understand what that means. What's the differences in the alloy consistency and why we would care?
Well, and those two alloys are common to almost every piston. Doesn't matter whose brand you're looking at. That's what we build forged pistons out of. The biggest change between the two is really silicon content. There's a few other elements that alloy that make some differences, and that has a big impact on expansion of the material, changes the hardness of the material, and there's also differences in strength between the two materials. Really, when it comes down to choice, the reason that they're both out there and they both exist is because there are applications that are going to drive what works best or what is sort of the optimum choice for one versus the other. So I know there's a lot of questions about how do you pick one versus the other. You don't really pick the alloy, you determine the application, and then that sort of drives what you're going to see in terms of what's the ideal piston to work for what you're asking that engine to do, your car to do, how you're going to drive it, how you're going to build it, naturally aspirated versus power adders, and then late model versus old can make a difference. Some of these newer engines with that are still tuned and running knock sensors, they don't tolerate piston slap. From a 2618 that's going to be a little noisier part, it's going to have more clearance in it. You can actually get false readings on tunes thinking there's not, but it's just piston noise. So there's a multitude of factors that come into that, and really the starting step is defining what the application is and what you need it to do, and then you start to funnel down the parameters of this. This is really where you need to land in terms of what the alloy of the part's going to be.
Interesting. So when you say piston slap for 2618, is that like it is? I want to say I read somewhere that it's because that alloy is going to expand more, like it's going to fill that hole once it gets warm, or I'm just trying to, I guess,
Yeah,
a little better.
and I should rephrase that saying it can have slap, it can have more noise. There's so many variables in those combinations. You can take, you're out to the next race, and I fire my car up to tell me if you can hear piston slap on it. It's 2618. I'll tell you the answer is no. There's some that do when it's cold, and then goes away when it warms up. It's a variable that can exist, and there's certain applications where that's absolutely not acceptable. But you take a race car with loud pipes, barely any mufflers on it, and noise is not a factor. Ultimate performance is what you're after. There's trade-offs that you do and don't have to make, again, based on what that application is. But it expands more, so you have to install it with more cold clearance than you would a 4032 piston. That's where the risk for it might make a little more noise or have some slap in it that you wouldn't otherwise see.
Okay, that makes sense. And then typically, like it's weird. We're seeing used to, I feel like it was 10, 12, 15 psi. Now we're seeing like 50 psi on some of these engines. Like I can't imagine on your side trying to put something together for a combo. So do you guys typically work with like guys like me, like I'm calling going, hey, I'm trying to put this motor together, or do you typically work with engine builders?
It's a variety, everything across the board. From our business, we've got professional race teams and builders that we're working with. Everything in the middle down to the random guy that's building the engine, in his garage. There's a step below that, the guy that's rebuilding it in the frame in the driveway, right?
Right.
So it goes all the way across the board, and there's commonality between them, but there's also a lot of differences. What works on one application or one end of the spectrum isn't necessarily going to be the same for everyone. So there very rarely is there a one size fits all, and that's why every time that we kind of get into talking real specifics of things, the ultimate answer is call us. If you're talking to us at the booth or something and trying to understand what's in the book or how to pick and choose, almost by default, we're going to say, give us a call, talk to us. I mean, that's why we've got guys here sitting on the phone so that they can walk through those questions about your application, because it's very, very difficult to lay everything out in black and white that'll answer every question in a book without, I mean, I don't know if you could ever cover every variable, but as you talk through that with a builder or a customer, it usually becomes very apparent what the right answer or the part that they're looking for should be.
Well, and I think one thing, so my brother Steven was talking to you guys about putting some pistons together for like a 2.3 Lima that he had, like a 80s SVO Mustang, right? And he's since changed that powertrain, but it was, I think he was talking to Adam, and like you guys were going to custom make him some pistons. That's just wild to me that, like that stuff is available to a regular dude. Like Steven's a regular dude, compared to, like, it wasn't just because we're buddies that he was calling you guys. He was calling you because he wanted the best pistons to take that car to that next level. But it was really cool. And the conversations that him and Adam had were awesome to try and, because Adam's like, hey, I need this. I really feel like with what you're trying to do, we need to move the wrist pin around and all that. Steven's like, I don't even understand what we're doing, but it's awesome to learn. So it's pretty neat, man.
Well, that's the interesting part that I mentioned from the start. I've worked for a piston company for 20 years, a piston company for 20 years, and still trying to figure out pistons. That's part of what makes my job enjoyable, is because I don't have it figured out. There's something new every day, and a lot of that comes to exactly what you touched on. What was, just using that boost number, 10, 15 pounds of boost, now it's 55. So what we knew 2 years ago doesn't necessarily always work today, as builders, racers continue to push those envelopes. Same parts that worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. So it continues to evolve, even though it's really a pretty simple, roundish type piece with a couple holes in it. There's enough to keep us busy, without a doubt.
Oh, I guarantee you that. Well, the other question I have here is, what is graphol coating? Or am I even saying it right?
Graphol? I think,
Graphol?
well, we're from North Carolina and Tennessee. They may pronounce it different in Michigan or Germany. I don't know, but we just kind of sum it up as graphol.
Nice.
But that is our skirt coating, which is typical for what we do. Boiled down in simplest terms, it's friction reduction. It's provides you a level of scuff resistance. It's not bulletproof. It's not meant to be it's not going to keep a part that is bound to destroy itself from destroying itself, but it gives you cushion, some edge, some safety factor in there that may not normally exist. Has an element where it will help take noise out of the piston. It provides a little bit of it's not actually a cushion, but cushioning effect is a good description of it. So there's a lot of variables and advantages that it has. And in reality, is it an absolute necessity? No, but is there advantages to it? Yes. And that's why we built it into our process. Actually, there's very few uncoated pistons in terms of the skirt that we even manufacture anymore. We've just built it into our process where it's almost a given that that's going to be part of what we do, because we feel pretty strongly about there's real benefits to having it there.
Well, and
those advantages.
Right, and when we were there, you guys were doing some testing on an engine that was in there, and you were looking at like even different skirt shapes, and then the wear on the skirt itself. And there's some folks that have done some R&D piston stuff for you guys, like our boy Jason Hurley in the Meltdown Firebird. I think you guys worked with him to get that program just, I mean, obviously to the next level. Ran 200 miles an hour at Bandimere. I can't wait to see him in a low atmosphere, something in like Tulsa or Ennis, Texas, or Oklahoma City. That car is going to fly this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's been the cool part about also getting involved with the drag and drive. We definitely want to support the racers to help them out how we can, but it's a great proving ground, testing ground, because you go from that 200 mile an hour pass to now I've got to drive it 300 miles on the road.
Yeah.
So just the variety of circumstances that you can put parts in, and we've got a few other guys that they'll know that I tell you anytime you're going to take your motor apart, hey, I want to see what they look like. Send me some pictures, send me some some feedback on what you've got, because that's the learning curve. The racers in general can dream up. They don't even have to try, but they can find infinite number of ways to test or put a part under circumstances that you could never dream of in a lab or a workshop or anything. So that real world validation of what you think will work is valuable.
Well, and again, the heat built up from 50 pounds of boost and the heat built up from 200 miles on the street in a day, those are two different kinds of heat. those are
Yeah.
those are different. I would imagine the internals of an engine look way different if you're pushing one for, I mean, now with the Midwest Drag Race Series, I do a lot of pro mod racing, following pro mod racing and stuff. Those guys that are racing 3.5, 4 seconds, that's a way different setup than somebody that's going to drive that thing 200 miles.
Yeah, and endurance and those short bursts are. I mean, there's some overlap, but there's also some pretty significant differences in what works and what doesn't.
That's awesome. Well, you guys also do piston rings, right? You kind of package all that stuff together. So just for a second, if you want to hit on some piston ring stuff and kind of, because you were telling Jesse and I about kind of some technology you guys were working through on that.
The rings are getting smaller and lighter as materials get better. Materials and coatings get better. That's where piston ring technology has advanced kind of by leaps and bounds. There's the stuff out there that runs 20, 25 thousandths, half millimeter in some of the upper end classes. I don't think the street stuff's going to get there. There's a point of diminishing returns versus dollar value of what you can see, but we've adopted a 1 millimeter ring pack in most of our shelf stock kits because it's a good steel material. We've got a good robust coating that we can put on it, and we can get the longevity and durability out of those rings that you traditionally weren't 5-10 years ago. And then you get all the benefits of friction reduction, taking tension out of the engine. It reduces wear and tear on cylinders. So there's a lot of value in that if you can keep it in an economical range. And That's really what we try to do with that power pack kit, is put pistons and rings together that were designed to work with each other. We're not pulling and trying to mismatch and make mismatched components work. We've got a piston that was designed to work with this ring. We package them together so it's all ready to go in one kit that is ready for the builder. Maybe not ready to drop in their engine, but ready for the builder to do what he needs to do to push that into the assembly.
Right. Well, to wrap us up here, what's a fun story that you have of like trying to put a package together for somebody? Like, I'm sure that you have hundreds of them, but what's a fun story of doing that?
My favorite right now is some of the super stock racers. We've gotten a good influx. We've made some good inroads there, and so it's when you get a lot of those guys have really kind of pushed the limit in trying to lighten parts and do things to the extreme. So we'll get a starting sample in of some part that's been modified. Looks like Swiss cheese, right? They've taken every step and measure that they can to lighten this part, make it as efficient as they can. But I really don't like those Swiss cheese parts. So we can if we take it and approach it from kind of ground up design and put the mass where we want it, we can take all the holes out of the part. We can, and by redistributing that mass, kind of create stability in the part. So we can come up with part, none of these holes, it's as light, if not lighter than what they had started with. And then they find power because there's stability in that part. The rings are sealing better. It's not trying to fight against itself on the pins and the rods and things of that nature. So what looks like a step backward when we hand it to them kind of turns their mind around once they actually run the car and see what they can get and see some results. It looks like a step backwards in some cases, but then they see how it runs, and it's always a pleasant surprise when you do that. So kind of that challenge of taking what looks like it's going to be almost impossible to beat and coming up with still ways to improve and tweak on that. So that's a lot of fun at the moment.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's a lot of guys. So obviously, Tulsa Raceway Park has a speedway, so they have a dirt track. So I'm trying to learn. You know, now I got a whole new segment of people to learn about cars, to learn about, and all that kind of stuff. So, so I'm excited about that. It's gonna be a lot of fun to dive into all that, and of course, there'll be conversation between me and you because I'm gonna be trying to understand what any of the stuff they're talking about means.
But you get in, is Tulsa dirt or asphalt?
Dirt.
Oh, okay, then yeah, you're right in there.
Yeah,
That's a dirt racers are kind of like the drag and drive guys. They're their whole separate crowd.
that's
And
awesome.
we love them just the same.
Perfect. All right. Well, what's the easiest way to get a hold of you guys? Is it, go to the website, find the phone number, call? Is there an email that we should send folks to, or should they just follow you guys on social?
Um, yeah, all the above. So on the website, mahlemotorsport.com, we've got the direct toll-free line to get into us. There's a couple of emails that'll get in straight to tech and or sales or just general mailbox. And you saw when you were here, our office of guys, we're 10 people total between the engineers. So this, even though Mahle's a big company, we're a pretty small, intimate group. So if you get in the system, we will find somebody to help you relatively quick. So
That's awesome. And you guys are like the skunk works of a lot of stuff. You guys are you guys are the leading edge of a lot of the technology. So it's pretty cool, man.
no, we appreciate it. And, certainly try to do what we can.
Yep. Well, I want to say thank you for spending time with us tonight. Thank for coming on. Thanks for increasing my knowledge tonight. I'm going to have to go back and watch all that and and catch that again to make sure that I got it. And definitely want to bring you on. I know this will bring up a lot more questions from folks in the comments and as people watch this stuff. So as we do, I'll gather those up and we'll have you back on in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Happy to anytime. And like I said, give us a call anytime. We'll talk distance all day. That's what we do.
Awesome. All right, Eric. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep. See you. How fun, y'all! I'm telling you, the knowledge level there. I'm like way down here, and he's like way up here. So I want to say thanks to him for coming on and doing that with us. That's a huge win for us. And guys, I just gentleman's agreement right here. This is perfect timing for this because Eric just gave us a whole bunch of knowledge. We do this because we love it, right? But it's not free, it's not cheap, and it takes a ton of time. So gentleman's agreement is we'll keep doing it on our side, but guys, on your side, we need you to hit that follow button or that subscribe button. Make it to where you show your friends that you're watching us. That's a gentleman's agreement. We can't verify that you're going to do it, but we'd certainly appreciate it for sure. All right, and then thank you for being our race car friends. You guys have been amazing. It's so cool to hang out and to be able to talk to you guys and all the comments on the side and everybody coming in and out all night long. And then thank you to our sponsors, Summit Racing, Mahle Motorsports. Eric was just on. Appreciate him so much. Driven Racing Oil, Car Change 3D, Performer Built Transmissions, Howard's Cam, Sweet Patina, Racing Junk, and Power Tube TV. Man, can't do it without those guys. And on the 29th, we're releasing a new sponsor that's coming on board. I'm excited about that. And our next up, we talked about PowerTube TV. Let me do the ad read real quick, and then we're going to talk about this show here. PowerTube TV is your ultimate destination for automotive entertainment. Join them on this incredible journey dedicated to providing you with an unparalleled streaming experience. Whether you're on our web-based 100% free streaming site, Roku, or mobile apps, indulge in your favorite automotive shows, shorts, and podcasts. Want more choices to watch? You can watch PowerTubes TV powerful programming on Android, Fire, and Apple TV as well. Join us on PowerTube TV and experience the thrill of automotive entertainment like never before. Speed, power, and community await you. Find out more at Watch PowerTube TV watchpowertubetv.com and watch pttv.com. And a new show, this is what this is here. A new show is debuting on PowerTube. Join the Car Guy Show hosts as they journey across the country, delving into a world of car enthusiasts. From awe-inspiring collections to thrilling events, they uncover the passion and excitement of car culture, exploring the places and sites that fuel their love for automobiles. And your boy has already messaged them and asked what we got to do to get them on a drag and drive, and have they ever been, and all that kind of stuff. So I saw where they had replied back during the show here, actually, while we were doing that. And this show is live right now. If you're Central Time, you can watch the Car Guy Show right now on the PowerTube TV app, or you can wait at 11 p.m. It'll be back on as a double air episode. So please do that. Please download the PowerTube TV app. They're awesome. They're letting your boy be a host on for Southeast Gassers Association. All right, for this week's Howard's Cams community segment. Again, Howard's Cams is our official valve train of Drag Drive Repeat. We had Luke B on last week talking about this amazing brand and all the stuff that they do. And just because I know Eric White is listening, I'm going to go ahead and hit the intro for this segment, and we'll get started.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Harris from the Monoxide Podcast. Real quick, Howard's Cams was founded as a racing cam manufacturer almost 80 years ago, when Howard Johansson created Howard's Power and Racing Equipment in 1945. Howard's Cams has always used on-track experience to design the most powerful designs, and today they have an even greater group of experienced racers in circle track, drag racing, road race, mud bog, and marine. They use all this input plus the most advanced computer software to design the most competitive race-winning products. From pioneers in drag racing and oval track to cutting-edge marine development, Howard's Cams is at the forefront of the industry. So make sure to reach out to our friend Luke B for your next valve train upgrade.
Awesome. And if you haven't done it yet, you need to go listen to the Monoxide podcast. It's awesome. All right. First up this week on this stuff, we are going to have a conversation with none other than Mike Galimi, who is backstage right now. I'm so excited to do this again. He's been on this will be a second time to visit the show. And we're going to talk about the Hot Rod Drag Week 200 mile an hour club members and all the stuff that goes along with that. But first, we got to talk about a couple updates from the community. Our boy, our man, our buddy, Red Hat Scotty, race car friend, wins the 10-0 Extreme Street at Streetcar Takeover kickoff party at Flying H Drag Strip. I think it was last week or the week before. Freaking awesome, man. Love it. Congratulations to him. He earned that. He's also coming out and racing 650 Index when we do the Midwest Drag Race Series, and he's going to be one of the racers that are going to park in with all the other drag and drive racers. Next up, Stefan Gustafsson, the C4 Corvette. The Bitter Tears Corvette is in Sweden. He got it on Monday, which if you're watching this now live, it is 2 days ago. But on Monday, the 13th or 12th or whatever day that was, it's been from Florida to Mexico to France and is now finally in Sweden. That's pretty awesome. And then he says the plan is to get the car prepped and compete in Street Week Sweden. It's going to be one of very few cars to have competed in that level, maybe one of the very few cars ever to have competed on two different continents. So Street Week Sweden is the goal. And in the same, real quick, it's been over here since 2022. So that car raced overseas for a long time, then came over here, and now it's going back. So one of the only cars I think that really ever do that. And then in the same container, oh, no, that doesn't have it. I don't have a picture of the Ascona from Magnus Frost. It is also back because it was in the same container. It is in Sweden, and it's been in America for more than 6 years. So great to have those cars back home. Now it's time for them to tune them up and get to Street Week Sweden with that and take over and just beat that stuff down, show those guys over there what they can do. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about him having or those guys having those cars back home. That's going to be kind of neat. And then I saw where Red Hat Scotty had said he's going to be racing in True Street. He said he doesn't want to race Keaton Maxon anymore. So, and then Keaton Maxon says, Red Hat Scotty, I had to order a bigger turbo. So those guys are going to have a lot of fun. This is going to be a good time. I'm excited to see the back and forth between those guys at the event as well. All righty. Well, let's talk about one thing that Joe Costello said the other day in one of the episodes that I was listening to. Mike Galimi here saying, yep, Michael Westberg has done both events as well. So that's pretty awesome. And he did it in two different cars too. So that's kind of neat. So he'll be one of the only guys that have done both in the same car. So, but I guess Stefan he did Street Week Sweden. Then the car came here and now it's going back. So, I love it. That's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about with Mike when he jumps on. I'm pumped about this. But one thing I want to talk about is opportunities in the drag racing world. So Joe created a thought, right? He basically said, what if we had 5 more NASCAR team owners come over to the NHRA and want to do professional level, high level racing? You know, would we be able to fill those teams? So my initial thought is, if you're interested at all in a career in motorsports, now is the time to start, like, just start trying to find that process. Figure things out, get your face in front of people. Now is the time to do it, because we really are. We're going to look back and we're going to say this was the heyday. This was the golden age, the resurgence of car stuff. There's a lot of people pouring a lot of money into tracks, into events, into cars, into everything right now. So if you want to, you have no more excuses. Now is your opportunity. But him saying that really made, it just pushed me over the edge to want to tell you guys to do all that. I mean, look at your boy. I'm helping a couple different race series. I'm helping the track. I'm doing this right here with us. I mean, all this wouldn't be possible without all of that. All right, let's bring on Mr. Mike Galimi. Are you ready, Mike? You ready? Good to go? Perfect. All right, bringing you on, sir. All right, guys, you know who he is. You know who this guy, Mike Galimi, big time. He's a big deal. He's a big deal. Hot Rod Magazine,
I
Hot
don't
Rod
know about that,
Week.
but
You've been on. You told stories a couple months ago, and then now you're writing like a series of articles for the magazine and the website talking about Drag Week historical data. And I got all nerdy. So let's from and and why the 200 mile an hour club is so elusive to people.
well, I
So
mean, I think it's hard because it's just to survive the week, right? I think there's
yeah,
been a couple of cars that have gone over 200 but didn't survive the week. So
yep.
it's 200 in general is really hard, and then you throw in drag week and it just complicates it.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I obviously stayed up late looking at a lot of stuff, and we're going to kind of work those in. So we got about an hour that you and I are going to spend kind of nerding out a little bit, because I'm sure you've got your own notes too. But it looked to me like there were 39 times in the history of Drag Week that racers had been 200 plus at least one day during the week and finished the week. Of those 39 times, there's only 14 unique racers. How
Yeah,
crazy is that, man?
yeah,
That's nuts to me. Absolutely
yeah.
nuts.
And 19 cars would have qualified for it, right? Because the driver makes it in, right? And I think that's been Freiberger's argument. But 19 cars have made it in, and only 14 drivers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild.
It's
So,
impressive. Yeah, yeah. When you look at it, it's going on 20 years.
yeah.
This year, the 20th running. I mean, that's a significant amount of vehicles.
Yeah. I mean, and it's pretty wild when you consider that the first one, just like your article said, Larry Larson was the first person. He's the inaugural member in that, and it didn't happen until 2009. So you've really done that in what's that? 13 years of racing? 14, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. And once it started, right, it just kept going like one or two a year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big step was when Tom Bailey and Oaks they went, that one year they went to head with the Pro Mod and Tom 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
After that, then it seemed to have a regular cadence of Joe Barry and Klein and all these other guys started jumping in on it. But to get to that first 200 took quite a while.
Yeah, and a lot of passes. So Larry did it first in the Nova or Chevy
Hmm.
2. He then, based on what I saw, and maybe your notes here, he'd done it 4 times in that, and then did it once in the S10, right?
Yes.
I think that's what I had figured. The S10 in 2014, and then Bryant Goldstone, this is crazy, has done it 7 times. So I know he's not going to be like hey, you're a new member, but like he's done it 7 times. That's pretty awesome. 2015, 2016, 2018, 19, 21, 22, and 23, all in the javelin.
Yeah.
That's even cooler. He's one of the only guys that have done it in the same car that many times.
And really the same class, right? Ultimate Iron. He wasn't even well. I guess he was unlimited for 2 years.
That's cool. And it's
Yeah.
just the historical stuff within this is what gets me excited about this, because it's really interesting that there's not just a ton of people that are digging into all this goofy stuff. So it's hard to find a lot of this stuff but you're making it easier because you're writing a lot of articles with this. I've got uh, Tom Bailey's done it with 6 seconds 1.0 and 2.0, and he's done it
Hmm.
6 times. So, at least the way you explained it to me, to get into the 200 club, you've got to finish the week and run 200 miles an hour plus on a day other than day one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
So that's pretty hard because day one, it doesn't matter. You can lay it out on day one because your truck and trailer's there. But day three, you're 400 miles from the track. Are you willing to let it eat and do it then?
Yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting, and I think when David and Keith Turk, you kind of look back at their history, right, in Bonneville, and Bonneville, you have to do a record run, but it's not just one, so you have to come back the next day, right? You get put in impound, they check the car, then the next morning you have another shot at it, and if you back it up, then you get in the 200 club and get the record. So I think their compromise is like, okay, well, the record thing is kind of hard. It's not like Bonneville. So they said, okay, day two, right? So you have to at least do one drive, and then you have to finish the week.
Yeah. Yeah, the finish the week because there were a lot of guys that had. I mean, the numbers would be you'd have had one every year essentially,
Right.
if you allowed day one and to not finish. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of times where folks didn't finish, and that's what I was finding that because I was trying to search in my spreadsheets by okay, you know largest to smallest, and then couldn't have a DNF. So like every time I clicked another button, it was just like. Like it just kept getting smaller and smaller. So it's pretty
Well,
awesome.
so you've got a database. I guess my question for you is, how many people outside of Drag Week have done a similar accomplishment?
So I didn't dive into that, but that's my next goal for this week is to start looking at that because that's the next level of stuff. Is like a great question came up the other day from Jason Golden's wife Liz. She was like, "Who has the fastest nitrous stuff? Right? What's the top 10 of nitrous?" Well, man, it's so hard because the data we typically get from events, you almost have to know the car to know if it's turbo or nitrous or whatever. And so going back through all of that is easier with drag week because it gives me the car, which makes it easier. Some events don't have the carb as public information. So they may have gotten there, but all I have is like their ET. So some events early on, all they collected was ET because we didn't care about mile an hour. Well, now when you start looking at like all these, they're not micro records because they're records or they're data that we're collecting or history stuff. But like, where do you stop it? Like, who's had the best reaction time? Who's had like who's put a better package together? Um, but yeah, so my next goal is to do all of sick week, because we have 3 years of sick week. I want to do six summers only had 1 year, but I'll definitely go through all that. So I'm gathering all the 2023 stuff together because that was a huge year for the events. And then, do you look at regional events compared to just national? I think right now I'm just going to focus on national stuff.
Yeah, and I think
4
the
days of racing or
5 days.
more.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
the 5 days, 4 drives. I think that's kind of the
Yep.
standard for the upper tier stuff. But
Yep.
in the same vein as nitrous, what about supercharged cars?
Yeah.
It's
I'm
it's
telling you.
it's
Well, and then you have like roots
yeah,
blower, and then centrifugal blower, which we've gone through with Chuck Stefanski. Like,
right.
who's the quickest centrifugal blower? Well, I mean, maybe he is. I don't know because I don't have that info. So then I'm literally when somebody's like, "Oh, I wonder." Well, then like I spent 2 hours last night looking through Facebook pictures of cars from 2015 trying to see something under the hood to see if it was nitrous or turbo or blower or whatever. So,
Yeah, no, it's you can get really in the weeds on a lot of the
mhm.
stuff, and that's what kind of makes it fun.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. And what's funny is like, we start talking about clicking things out. Like as you go down through just looking at drag week data, it's like, okay, well, nitrous cars, I mean, you're talking about 10 or 15 cars in the top level in all of history of drag week that would be in low eights or faster. Because Jason Golden put up like an 801 at Sick Week, 2023 or 2024. Yeah, Sick Week 2024. Well, I mean, obviously he's not going to be all out nitrous record, but is he all out small block nitrous record? Maybe. Is he all out small block Ford nitrous record? You know what I mean? Like how deep do you
Mhm.
go with it? So that's kind of fun. Sorry, back to the 200 Club because let me get through these because we have some
Okay.
good conversations here. So we talked about Tom Bailey. Jeff Lutz has 3 cars in the mix. I thought that was pretty cool. Both 57s and the Mad Max Camaro. He's done it 4 times total: 2010, 2012, 2014, 2016. Joe Barry, our boy, 4 times in the 56. So same car 4 times. Thought that was pretty cool. 2014, 15, 17, and 21. Dave Schroeder, obviously 2 times in the old vet, 1 time in the new vet. And then Michael Borgren twice in the Volvo. And then 1-time members, Dave Ahokas, which you just wrote an article about that. You and I were talking about that car and the
Mhm.
Camaro. He did it once in 2013 and then hasn't been back. And that's what started the conversation with really even you being on tonight, was because I was like, what happened to Dave Ahokas? And you were like, I don't know. And then you started digging, I started digging, we were looking at stuff. What happened with the car? You had a Facebook post where it was for sale at one point. I mean, just crazy. 2013, he's like, deuces, I'm out. No more drag racing, no more drag week for me.
Yeah,
It's
no, that
crazy.
was out of the blue, and it's funny you had mentioned him, and we started talking about him, but it was probably, gosh, I don't know, like 2 months ago, and I don't know if it was Freiberger or Loans who sent that Facebook
That's
uh,
awesome.
post over. It was like, holy cow, it's like you're looking at it, it's
Yeah.
like 90 grand, like you start thinking like, man, that like a little bit of modern technology updates, I think could be pretty competitive these days.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, for sure. You start thinking about, Brian Loans wrote an article for Sick the Mag that was talking about, we're going to see some sixes in small tire stuff, and like that car went sixes in 2013. So he's
Right.
in there. Doug Klein in the Camaro in 2014, and that was a nitrous car at that time.
Oh,
Kind of cool. Stefan Gustafson in the C4 Corvette
no,
in
no,
2020.
Doug Klein's car is a twin turbo big block.
Well, that's what I thought. But if I even back in 2014.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, see, yeah, so there's 13 unique racers. Um, so I missed one because your article said 14. No, he would have been in the club, but I had it as nitrous. Never mind. Sorry. Um, and then Stefan Gustafson 2019, Alex Taylor in the 55, and Michael Westberg in the S10 in 2022. And then Josh Davis in the Mustang and Clark Rosensingle in the Camaro at 2023. So that
Yep.
wraps out our folks. Sorry, I was getting my nitrous stuff mixed up. Yes, Doug Klein is not a nitrous car. I apologize about that. I
Yeah.
was got deep on the nitrous looking there as well.
Yeah.
And then
Got a little excited.
yeah, dude, listen, that's the problem with doing that at 11:30 at night is like, oh, I'll just look real quick. It'll be fine. Nope. Um, I wanted to talk about a couple people that are bridesmaids that have almost made it into the 200-mile-an-hour club. Tom McGilton,
Yeah.
199.17 miles an hour on day 2. Oh,
Yeah.
that's gotta be heartbreaking. And
Oh
then
boy.
198.93 on day 3 of 2017. So not only did he get almost there once, he got almost there twice that week. That'd be pretty tough. Ryan Hargett, 196. That car, that car can go 200 for sure. Before he has pulled it out and put it in the new 70 Camaro, we know that car is going to go 200. And then Glenn Hunter Jr., 196.70 on day 5 of 2019. So,
I
I mean,
must have looked. I must have looked 10 times for Glenn Hunter. I was convinced
yeah,
he was over 200 on drag week, and I just kept going back to it. I was like, no, this list is wrong. And Tanya Turk is the one who's maintained the list.
yeah, she's
Um,
awesome.
and so I went back. I kept looking. I was like, man, I know he did,
Yeah.
and but apparently not. But it's coming for him. I know it's only a matter of time.
Oh, that car is so cool, and he's such a cool dude.
Hmm.
He's earned it for sure. He's earned it for sure.
Yeah.
We need to, there's no honorary members in that club, but he can be a bridesmaid. Hopefully, he'll get that sorted for 2024. Um, and then racers with 200-mile-an-hour passes every day. I thought this was kind of fun. Bryant Goldstone, love that dude. He's done that 3 times. Tom Bailey's done it 3 times. Jeff Lutz has done it 3 times. Doug Klein once, and Michael Westberg once. So 200 miles an hour plus every day. That's pretty amazing feat in itself.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers, and the people on the list that haven't done 200 every day, and you kind of think about it, it's like, okay, they got their 200 and then they backed off, right, and then they came back
Yep.
on. So it definitely is impressive when you do 200 every day. Shows how
Yeah.
hard it is.
Oh yeah. Well, and again, just like you said, drive 1,000 miles and run 200 every day and put that car on the limit. I mean, dude, that's hard. Like, because it's not like these cars run 240 all the time. Bailey's car has been 250 and then 240 several times, all that kind of stuff. I didn't get into what's 225 and above because that number gets about this big. There's 2 or 3 guys maybe that have done that. Um, yeah, right. It's crazy.
You guys, yeah.
And I think it's wild. Like, we're finally in a point now where things like this are interesting because there's a lot of people that are wanting to push for that kind of stuff. I think it's going to bring a lot more people from, of course, now I'm working with a lot of pro mod teams and all that kind of stuff with the Midwest Drag Race Series. And so I just automatically think, how can these cars get there? I was talking to Jason Hurley through Messenger earlier today, talking about because I'm trying to work on him to bring him to the Kansas City race because I'm doing like a display, kind of like the NHRA is with the peak deal. So we're going to do like a drag and drive display, right? And trying to get him to come over, and I'm like, man, you could race Pro 420 and go up against. So I mean, those are real race cars. He's like, man, I don't know if I want to slow my car down that much. I'm like, dude, think about how much of a like those are full blown race cars. Those dudes would have never thought about putting that thing on the street. And then here comes Jason Hurley just gonna beat on them. Like that's pretty awesome.
It's like remember Larry Larson did it with the Nova and the S10 for NHRA Top Sportsman at Topeka, and he ended up winning I think it was with the S10.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
But the
awesome.
Nova he drove there, no trailer or anything. I think he hung out at like Matusic's rig and had his stuff in the trunk and made a bunch of hits and went home.
Right? Like that's what I love about Drag and Drive, dude. Like who would run that car around and be able to do that? And what's cool about that is you pull up in that car and park. And then there's a guy that's got this huge toter home, a big trailer, stacker trailer, all the stuff. And then you go out and you beat that guy. Like that's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then take it back to the hotel that night.
Yeah. And have parking lot beers and don't tear the car down completely in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be fun. I love seeing all the publicity where the Drag and Drive family's getting. And you were talking about drag weekers are going to be racing at the end of the month at the New England Nationals. Is that right?
Yeah, they're going to do a drag and drive exhibition at New England Dragway for the NHRA national event. Jeff Sias was, I guess, the catalyst for a lot of that. Brian Loans got involved, and then I know Glenn Hunter's going. Gosh, I forget who else, but it's 8-car field, like normal, but it's just an exhibition, right? Like I know we did the one in Charlotte where it was 850 style.
Mm-hmm.
This one's just an open exhibition. Rick Stanky's coming up with the crew cab Chevelle, and yeah, so it'll be a fun weekend showing off what these cars are capable of.
Well, and again, they'll give them, if it's anything like what you put together for all the drag weekers, which I'm sure it will be, it's, they get their special parking area. It's kind of like, as people walk by, they're like, why do these cars have their own trailer? Where's their tow rig? Where's their whole pit setup? And that doesn't happen on Drag and Drive, so these guys are racing out of their pits and
Yeah.
and that was a blast, man.
Yeah, and that's neat. And it's, shout out to, Sarah Walker and the whole NHRA staff for putting it all together, right? They're the ones who make it happen and carved out the space and disrupted their midway and everything to host us. They do a great job. I know, and the same thing this weekend in Route 66 with the peak drag and drive stuff. Same thing, right? They just they don't have to do it, but they do it because they know that we're part of the community and our racers are something unique that their fans normally don't get to see.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm most excited about introducing a lot of these guys to the pro mod teams and all that stuff. Because a lot of those guys, like Aaron Wells, has a street Camaro at home. Like, he races a 3.5 second pro mod 10 times a year with the Midwest Drag Race Series, and then he's got that car at home. Like, you turn a guy loose that has the budget to run a pro mod that many times a year, and now he can see a dragon drive. He's like, okay, So now I'm trying to figure out how I put together like a weekend event. Can the guy show up Thursday night and we race? We do Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, ending on Saturday. How do we work in a full on drag and drive and me not drop the ball on it? Because, man, there's a lot of work that goes into that. More than anybody probably, but the level of taking care of folks and then also taking care of all the racers we got to worry about too at the same time. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Not aggravating your core customer that you see, like you said, 10 times a year, and integrating this new element into it without being rude about it, but and disrupting everything.
right. Well, let's talk about some stuff you get. What are some of the articles that you're writing, and go into some of that if you can give us that.
Well, I mean, I've got to finish off the last few stories for the 200 mile an hour club, Gustafson and the Volvo. Those are the last two, right? Because in 2022 and 2023, we had 200 mile an hour stories. So we're just kind of going back and visiting, everybody else and how they got into the club. So that the
That's
story's been told for the last 2 years. Well, let's just go back and get the older ones. So I've got to finish out those two stories tomorrow. I just got back from Streetcar Bragging Rights down in Carolina Dragway, which is a fantastic event. Nate Prater did a great job with, great attention to detail, really fun event, and mostly street cars, right? And cool kind of cars that I enjoy. So personally and professionally, it was a great. So we got a bunch of features that came out of there, some race coverage. Then we've got Meekum this weekend also, which is at Indy, which is like their big event. So we got a lot of those stories hitting, kind of previewing cars that are going over the block that are unique. We've got like a replica of the 50 million vehicle that Chevrolet produced. I think it was a 56 Chevy that's in gold, which is a fun read, fun story. Some really good history there. So just trying to hit a little bit of everything on the market, from racing to the car show side.
That's cool. So I saw Dave Ahokas article, and then what was the one you sent me after that?
Joe Barry.
Joe Barry, that's
Joe
right.
Barry. Yeah, and we're running them out in order, right? So tomorrow, Goldstone and Schroeder's two stories will hit, and talk about both their accomplishments and how they got there. Especially Schroeder, which is such an incredible, the only nitrous car, and two of them, on the list, which is fun.
Yeah, the nitrous technology, I really, where do we see a lot of nitrous stuff come in? Is it that 8 second car? I would think. I mean, after that, you really probably gotta go turbo stuff. I mean, or blower. I mean, but turbos, I'm a turbo guy. So
Yeah, same here. No, but it's fun to see those guys, have a challenge, like the Sweets and and Doc and all those NA cars too, right? Same struggle, similar challenge, right? High compression, massive lift cams, high RPM, all the really the same challenges, those guys face, just in just without the nitrous.
yeah, I can't imagine NA stuff. That's a rabbit hole I've got to go down next. I keep telling all the NA guys I'm gonna put together a top 10 NA list, but it's like it's sevens and then mid eights and above. Like there's not like everybody chopping at the bit there. It's
Right.
you get your fast three, and then everybody else is kind of after that. So, and then we break it down. You do small block and you do big block, and then lots of
It can
research.
get sliced and diced, yeah.
Yeah. So
But
yeah, we need how so the question is, how do I get more detail on that stuff? Do I just do it that way, or does, like, on the entry form, do they have that kind of info, but it's just not made public on the, because I mean, 99.9% of people don't care.
I don't think that is on the entry form.
I don't think
this
so
is going
either.
to sound really crazy. I've never actually seen one. So that the event staff thankfully handles a lot of that. I get a list at the end of it
Yeah.
with names, but
Mm. Yeah.
so I don't think it does cover a specific combination, but I mean, the great thing about Google is you could just start searching, right? Pull up
Yeah.
on social media. If they're on social media, odds are they're going to picture under the hood.
Yep.
Someone knows someone in this world. It's a small
Right.
world, especially on the drag and drive side. So, um, just it's like Google's your friend, man. You could find a lot on there.
Well, and that's what I've been doing a lot. Like, the historical hot rod archives, man. They've been amazing.
Yeah,
Just type in like, Brian Goldstone Hot Rod Drag Week 2015, and it'll pull something up.
yeah,
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty
yeah.
awesome. Well, what else is coming up for you? Where are you going to be this year? Are you doing power tour? You doing drag week? What all you got going on?
Yes to everything. Yeah. So Power Tour is the big one coming up next month. We're about 3 weeks away, I think.
Hmm.
Well, we're gonna start in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and have a short little drive down to Nashville, then head back up into Kentucky into Louisville, then
Oh,
Louisville up
sure.
to Columbus, Ohio, and Columbus, Ohio over to Indy. So
Oh,
that's
that'll be a
the
great
you
drive.
know yeah, it's gonna be great. The quickest sellout we've ever had. Um, yeah,
Dude,
there's gonna
cars are
be
cool, man. Cars are cool.
yeah, over 6,000 long haulers. Um, it's going to be pretty wild. It's going to be massive as it always is. I think it'll be the biggest it's ever been. It's the 30th anniversary. Um, I think the route I just saw that today, which looks really great. Um, so it's good. Yeah, that's big. Obviously on the radar. Obviously heading up to NHRA before that for our Dragon Drive event. Um, this summer I think I'm going to try and get out to the Good Guys event. I've never been to a Good Guys event,
Yeah,
and
I've been once, but it was forever ago.
so I'm gonna probably head out the Good Guys Columbus, but there's a little event in Michigan that I think will be announced here shortly, coming up later in the summer, and then back to Drag Week.
Yeah.
Um, so Drag Week should be really good. We are working on the route now. I know that's been a concern for a lot of people, just in terms of stops and you know just challenging roads with
Hmm.
potholes and that sort of problem. So this summer we'll be out there. I'll be out there with someone else to pre-run the route before the event and
Nice.
somewhat close to the event, so that we can make sure that construction. We've got someone in
Right.
DOT who's going to help us figure out, make sure that construction is not going on the roads we've selected, and then I'll be out there firsthand to say, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
this parking lot's not going to work. Or if it's a restaurant, like, hey, look, on this date, you know, be staffed up, be ready to go.
Be ready because we've got,
Yeah.
600 people
Hmm.
coming.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then, for people, don't forget drag pack. If you didn't get into the race, get into the drive. You can make the drive with them, do all the stuff from there. It's kind of
Yep.
the road week and sick word of Hot Rod Drag Week. I think that'll be fun too.
Yeah, and you can still get on the wait list, right? It's still
Yeah.
open and available. You can sign up. If you didn't think you were going to make it, but now you're like, hey, man, the pistons came in, the crank and rods came in. It's looking pretty good. By all means, sign up on the wait list,
Yeah.
and I mean, we've never had a sold out crowd. We've sold out, but it's never been a max capacity crowd, I guess you'd call it,
Yeah.
on the cruise.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, here's the deal. If you were going to go, you were going to go, even if you weren't signed up. But it's
Yeah,
always a good idea to get on the wait list simply because, like, it locks in a spot that's typically available. The
yeah,
struggle is, like, even with the circuit, we had the problem where people didn't even tell us they weren't coming, but they just didn't show up. So
right.
obviously we took folks that showed up day of because I mean that's what you
Yeah,
do. If you made the attempt and you were there, we're letting you race.
yeah. Let's have some fun for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you listening to my brain damage on the on the stats. I'm loving the articles, man. It's really fun to you know see you go back through all that stuff and tell those stories because there's a lot of stuff to learn there. And for the folks that are just coming into the sport, I think that kind of attention is going to, bring a lot more people in. That's kind of the goal always.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's good to see where you came from, especially, just looking back at the results. I mean, Lutz and Larson. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like run for run, just blow for blow. I mean, that was a crazy, crazy bunch of years that those two guys battled out. It was fun.
Yep. It would be fun to see them come back or a new rivalry emerge. There's I
Hmm.
think we're in a spot where we can have some good rivalry stuff come up,
Sure.
good passes like that made, but I think everybody's having fun with it still. There's not any bad blood in the water anymore. Nobody's like hating on each other or anything like that. So, everybody's just enjoying it running fast. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and I agree with Loans. The small tire deal. Look, that's really starting to take shape.
Yeah.
Difference of opinion on some of the stuff he said, but I do agree that the small tire wars are kicking into gear, and
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more small tire cars out there than big tires, so it'll be fun how that starts to transition and change over the next few years.
Yeah. Well, and again, are we going to see this? Is that going to push all the big tire guys to go faster now? And then that'll push the small tire guys to go faster, and
Yeah, and I
you
don't
got to
know if
finish.
it's yeah, I don't think if it's a comparison, between the two. I know like Sick Week had really great radio prep, right? And
Mhm.
and that for a big tire car, it's hard to get down, right? I mean, I'm sure Jeff had shook a bunch. I know Schroeder, wasn't Schroeder, it was somebody else had shook. It's just challenging, right? Like, so you
Yeah.
can't get after it. And like, put the radio guy on a slick track, and then tell me how that works out,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I think small tire stuff just in general, in as a theme, I think is going to be really good and a lot of fun and a lot of good battles that could come.
Yep. Bring it on. I'm ready. All right, dude. Well, I'll let you get to it. Thank you so much again for coming on
No
tonight.
problem, man.
Second time on here. Definitely not going to be your last. We got a lot of brain damage to talk about as the year goes on, and all the fun stuff that comes from these drag and drive events.
All right, man. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, dude. See you.
Later.
How fun. Y'all, I'm telling you, I like that guy. I love the knowledge that he has, and I love all the articles. So if you're not following Hot Rod Drag Week or Hot Rod Magazine, uh, it's like almost habit now for me to say Hot Rod Drag Week. So Hot Rod Magazine or Mike Galimi, Galimi. You need to be doing that. So, and then Rodney's Rods here asking, will we see most tracks cater to radio prep? I really don't know. That's going to be interesting. I think a lot of the tracks typically will run more of like a test and tune style, one for everybody type prep, just simply because it's easier. The one thing that is interesting about a lot of events is very few national level events for sure even allow a hard tire. So, you know, will that change as well? Will there be hard tires come in, or will everybody need to go to that to let the radial cars get down? Because without hard tire stuff, that accounted for about 40 cars of our 160 at the circuit. So, you start looking at radio prep and you start looking at when do you let the hard tires come in to make their passes, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love that we're all working on this together. And like I told our newest sponsor that'll be coming on board in a couple weeks, we're all figuring this out. They were asking questions about events and things like that. And I really had no idea how to answer those because nobody really has the answer to that. We're trying to figure all of this out together. So, all right, guys, that is it. A little bit more stuff here, and then we're going to let you guys go. Got a big show next week. Tommy Dupree of Summit Racing is going to be on. We're going to be talking about his drag and drive experience, kind of like what we did with Eric Grilliot tonight, which events he's attended, and how they schedule 51 event attendance a year. Think about that. Can you imagine trying to put your team together for 51 events per year? And that's everything. They do rounds, circle track, dirt track, drag race, drag and drive, you know, Texas 2K, FL 2K, all the stuff that comes in from that, and all the Donald Long races and all that kind of stuff. So pretty interesting. I'm excited to pick his brain a little bit. He's also building a new drag and drive vehicle, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. And he's announcing a big deal for drag and drive racers that are going to that will take place at events that maybe the Summit truck can't be at. That's all I'm going to say. So kind of a neat deal there, to let you guys know. So again, Thank you very much. Thank you guys so much for being our race car friend and being here tonight. Thank you for the comments over there. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for everything that you've provided for us tonight. It's been pretty amazing being on here. I will say I have missed Eric White tremendously. I know he was backstage while they were driving, showing comments on the screen and all that kind of stuff. So thank you to him for doing that. And then thank you so much to our sponsors, Summit Racing, Mahle Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Change 3D, Howard's Cams, Performer Built Transmissions, Sweet Patina, Racing Junk, and Power Tube TV. And then Carl B here saying, hey, thanks, man. Another great show. Thanks again, Mike and Eric, wherever you are. He is somewhere on the road headed east. So, all right, guys, thanks again. We'll see you soon. Bye.